Thank you for allowing me to be here and talk. I've know many of you from the experiences I've had working in the anti-trafficking effort with Dana and the group that she works with. So thank you again for that experience. So, lost it. It's back. Okay. So I want to thank you guys first off for all that you've done. This is just a small sampling, and in case you don't know all the stuff that you've been involved with over the years and stuff that Dana's pushed and Jim and Marilyn that I've done. So I'm gonna go down the list of stuff. So I started to put together and then sort of got some hints from people, but I'll go through this because hopefully you understand the impact that you guys have had as Rotary on how many thousands of people you have touched, literally thousands of people. The hospitality trainings at the hotels, Dana told me that we've done 10. There's been a video made that can go out now to the different hotels and train their staff. The soap project, you're doing 10,000 to 12,000 bars of soap a year, handing those out at hotels to make people aware of a phone number they can call if they need help. TriMat advertising, we worked really hard on this with Dana and the group to get signage on the back of the buses on 82nd Avenue and bus stops. So get that awareness out there. The awareness walks that we've been part of, 82nd Avenue, Lance Rose Parade, Walk to Shine the Light. Again, awareness, people seeing them driving by. The More Than the Survivor, it was viewed by thousands of people. We had that at Portland City Hall, Portland State, David Douglas, Portland Community College, and Clackamas Town Center. A lot of work to get it in those places, but it was viewed by literally thousands of people and made people aware what trafficking really looked like and the stories behind the victims that are out there. Portland Airport, I know Dana probably, I don't know how she worked on this for 2 years to get PSA announcements. You'd think it'd be a simple thing, but finally to get announcements up in the airport. And it was really cool to get off the plane and walk towards the luggage area and see that public safety announcement that she had worked on so long to get there. Awareness signage billboard we had on Burnside. We had a talk show on KATU for a brief awareness event we had. Orange tickets in the Oregonian for the sports section. The Super Bowl and Civil War just looked like a ticket, but it was an anti-awareness advertisement. The booth at the Rose Festival's Fun Center, where you handed out literature both in English and Spanish to make people aware. Awareness cards, like I said, they're both English and Spanish. Presentations at David Douglas High School, where I think that I went through probably 2,000 students in 2 days. Talk about Groundhog's Day, but awareness for those kids to go through the class and be aware what prostitution and trafficking looks like. And then presentation at Willamette University. So that's sort of the nutshell, all the stuff that you guys have been part of, maybe not directly, but as Rotary as a group, you've impacted and made thousands of people aware. So I want to thank you guys for doing that, supporting this awareness and anti-trafficking piece. So with that, we'll go on to bridging the gap. So the problem is trying to connect resources to the victims out there in a timely manner. And sometimes it's in the middle of the night, sometimes it's the middle of the week, but there's a lot of people out there that want to help. They just don't know how to connect those resources and do it in an efficient manner. It might be a church, it might be an advocacy group, it might be law enforcement looking for help to get somebody transported someplace. And how do we make that work? The solution was we started a website. I'll get into that a little bit more. To do this, to connect these people. And as I go through this, I think it'll make a little bit more sense. So how this whole idea started was when I was working full-time in the sex trafficking unit. I came across a victim probably about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. She was 17 years old. She was Somali descent, lived with her mom and brother and sister in an apartment. And she was being trafficked by a trafficker who was making her do 5, 6, 7 dates a night. She initially didn't know that she wanted to get away, but she ended up getting in a fight with him over her cell phone. The officers that went and talked to her, she confessed that she was being trafficked. So they brought her to the police station where I was working at, and I interviewed her. She disclosed lots of information about her trafficker. Took us probably 2 or 3 hours to go through this interview. Now it's 2 o'clock at night. And she is wearing her work clothes, if you can imagine what that was like. And she didn't want to go home. She says, my mom's going to kill me. She finds out what I'm doing. I can't go in the house looking like this. And I'm thinking at 2 o'clock at night, I've got to get her home. How do I do this? And it's going through my head, I'm trying to think, who do I call? Where do I get advocates? Who's going to help me with this? And it was up to me at 2 o'clock at night to figure out what to do with this person. And so to get her home, I literally went through the police station, found an old pair of BDU, the Army military pants, and gave her one of my t-shirts. She changed into those. I took her home, and I have to admit, I lied to her mom what she was doing because she was going to run. Her mom found out what was going to happen. So I promised her I wasn't going to tell her mom. But then I had other issues. I had to get her to court on Monday. I had to get her some advocacy. I had to get her food, get her some people to work with so she had somebody to talk to that she could trust. And none of those resources, I didn't know the people to call, didn't know how to call them. And not long after this, I went to a movie screening, and it was Libby Spears did a movie called Playground about the trafficking situation here in Portland. I'd worked with Libby on that movie. And we go to this movie screening, and there's 50 different groups there at this movie screening, all that have roles in helping trafficking victims. I'm going, how do I not know who you are, what you're doing? So it got me thinking. So I put together a meeting at East Precinct and brought all these players together, talked about the issue. They all had the same concerns and asked for volunteers to help come up with a solution. And we had 5 or 6 people that offered to do that. And we put our heads together and we came up with Bridging the Gap. Initially, it started out as a web-based idea. This was my idea when I was proposing it to the group. As you can see, it's like we all have these different groups out there. This is my initial drawing of how to put this together. And how do we communicate with this thing? And in the center there, a little round circle, that is Bridging the Gap. So what it does, it brings together law enforcement, faith, churches, people, groups like Rotary and stuff like that in a vetted way. So all the people that are in this group are trusted. You know, when a request is made or an answer is made to a request, that it's going to the rightful person that deserves that need. So those 5 people got together and we came up, like I said, with a website, and we thought it was pretty good. I put in for a grant with the city of Portland. They had an innovative ideas grant, and the city of Portland said this is like out of the 35 different people that put in for the grant, awarded us the #1 spot in that grant and said they were going to give us $70,000 to develop this website and take it to the next level and make it an app. We were ecstatic because we had this money now, we could take it to that next step. But once we started meeting with the city of Portland, and you all know how government works, this $70,000 wasn't quite as good as it sounded on the surface. We tried to explain to them that this has to be a vetted community. This has to be a trusted people. I describe it as people in Bridging the Gap or under an umbrella. It's not anybody can be in Bridging the Gap. That's the people that are trusted, that are vetted, that know how to work with victims, and know the sort of what's behind the scenes on those things. And the city said, no, we're a government agency. We can't discriminate. So if somebody wants to be part of your group, you have to let them in your group. And I said, it doesn't work that way. We can't do that. Then they also had issues with ownership because they were giving us the money. They wanted to control the app. It's like, well, if you control it, you're telling everybody that they can be in it. That doesn't work. So Darlene, who's one of the people there in the picture, the one on the far right, and I literally walked downstairs at City Hall and we talked for 5 minutes and said, we have to turn down the money. We can't do this. We can't operate. We got to stick to what our focus is on this thing. So we did, we turned it down. We found out very quickly that we needed to become a nonprofit agency. And we did, worked hard to become a nonprofit so we can get donations. And we did, we got the donations we needed to build the app. It's been touch and go. I mean, sometimes we get down to the last $500 and miraculously we get another donation that helps put us over that next hurdle to build another part of the app. But we're there, we've got the app, it's running. So I talked about who can be part of the app and how it's vetted. I think you guys understand the reason why it's vetted, and the people that are there have to be trusted. Because when that request goes out, if I put out a request for a gas card for a victim I'm working with, if you decide you want to fill that need, you got to trust that $25 gas card you're donating is going to somebody that truly needs it. So that's why this is that vetted community. It's all password protected. You have to be invited in by an admin or somebody within your organization that knows that you understand the rules of the app and everything like that. So the different people that are part of it, law enforcement, advocates, district attorneys, different community groups, churches, nonprofits. Sounds like a huge thing, but we're looking for people that are specifically working within the anti-trafficking movement. So this next slide is a little glitchy. I'm not sure why it is, but it's a little glitchy, but I think it gives you the idea of what the app does and how it works. We tried to make it super simple and quick, and that's really what it comes down to. There's two main things I'll go within the app that are sort of the big things in it. I'll go in those in a little more detail after this video. So about a 3-minute video that shows what the app does. It is running. This is just a little longer than it needs to be. So when the app first starts on your cell phone, it is password protected. It will recognize your face if you got facial recognition to log in. This will be the home screen. I say it's a little glitchy. So to create a post, you go to the create a post part of it, and then you would type in what your request is. You can look on the bottom, you see there's urgent needs, non-urgent needs, resources available, volunteer opportunities, and then events. So you can pick whatever your post goes out to. So if you had urgent needs, you're looking for that transportation that night, like I was talking to. You would type in your request. Then hit post. And with a matter of about 15 seconds, that goes out to everybody that is in your region. So we just launched, as Dana said, in the Northwest. So we've got different counties and different cities. So everyone's embedded in your region. That message goes out to. Then you get a pop-up on your phone that says a new post created by Mike Gallagher. And you can go ahead and see what that post is, and then you can respond directly through the app to meet the needs of that request if that is something you want to do. So as you can see here, my wife posted I can help with clothes. There's a tab there for recent posts that would show you what the recent posts are. Again, I'm not sure why it's bouncing back and forth, but that's what it's doing. The big thing on it is the service provider list. I'll go into this a little bit more detail after the video's over. But the organizations will be all the people in your region. So you'll see when I show you the little better, the organizations within Portland, but within the region or the organizations, you can go to different people. You can direct dial from in the app. So I can click on a phone number. It would direct dial that person. You don't need to have like your phone and try to remember who it was within, whatever that organization is. So you got a member directory too for your region. So it shows all the members in your area. So it'd be just like your contact list in your phone. And as you can see, you can direct dial, I can touch that, or I can email that person from within the app. And the service provider list is one of the neat things about it. You can choose the different areas. So right now we have 5 different cities using this. So you can scroll through those different cities and see the resources each of those cities has available to help. I'll talk about this a little bit more detail here in a second. And then lastly, within the providers, we also have 34 different subgroups. So if you wanted clothing in the Portland area, I could hit clothing and it'd bring up the resources that could provide clothing in the Portland area. So you don't have to scroll or guess through all the different areas in one city to see what that is. Again, you can click on that. You can direct out that agency. So this is the different regions we're in right now. Stop flashing. I got a better map here at the end. And you can also change your settings. So if you don't want, let's say events popping up on your phone, you can turn them off or turn them on. It's really easy to do. So this part will give you sort of a brief rundown. We had Clackamas Community College do this video for us. Gives you an idea of the interview. You have a need, so go to the app. Type in your need, send it out, and it gets pushed out to all the people that are approved in your region. And then, like I said, you can respond back through that. So as I was talking about on the home screen, you got the different categories. So you got creative post, you got a directory, got messages, recent post notifications. On creative post, I talked about that, the urgent needs, non-urgent needs, resources available. Imagine if you're a tattoo artist and you're going to do cover-ups for trafficking victims, you can post that on there. Or if you're a dentist and you want to help somebody that needs dental, you can post that if you're available to do that. You know, if you don't have the request, or if you're a dentist and you got 500 toothbrushes donated and you want to push those out to the different advocate groups out there that are looking to help them. We had a church bring like a dozen backpacks into our office when I was working there, filled with like leggings and tops and feminine products and stuff like that, that when I had a victim, when they walked out of doing that interview, I'd hand them one of those backpacks and they were good to go to a motel room or something like that. So a lot of times when you're dealing with these women, they walk out of their situation, they have nothing. I mean, if they're leaving their trafficker and we've moved them, you know, found them in an apartment or on the street, they're not going back to that because their trafficker's taken off and he's taken off with everything they had. So they have absolutely nothing and they're starting with nothing. So if you can give them that little bit of something to start with, it's a great idea. The volunteer opportunities, we had different groups put like Christmas parties together for groups and need decorations or help putting those on. Epic, I know, has been helping feed some of the victims through Safety Compass and asking for volunteers to go do that. And then posting the events, like the events that Rotary does. The directory, I'll go into that a little bit more here in a second, but it gives you an idea how simple this is to, you know, create that post and go from there. You're creating a post, like I said, is super simple. Whatever you want it to be, you know, what category best fits your area that you're working there. Just type in, hit post, and it goes out literally within a matter of seconds to everybody that's in your network. And again, I can't stress enough that it's the vetted organizations that you have. As you can see here, we got, this is the Northwest region. We've got different groups that are in the Portland area that are all vetted. If I were to click on Portland Police, it's going to give me the different people within the Portland Police Bureau that are working specifically with trafficking victims. I then could click on a name and it's going to give me a phone number and email address. It's that quick and that simple if you're not sure who to reach out to. The provider list is the big thing about it. So like I talked about us being in different cities. So the providers, all the areas in this city, let's say Portland, that are providing resources, or maybe not all the vetted people. The vetted people would be under the first category I talked about, the organizations. These are people who'd be like Salvation Army, maybe. They wouldn't necessarily be part of a group that would help be in that vetted, trusted area, but they also could provide resources. So if I wanted to click on Salvation Army, it's going to give me contact information for the Salvation Army, a phone number, and give me a brief summary down there in the bottom of the services that they provide. You see that. The other thing, I'm going to go back to that real quick. So the other thing that's neat about this is I can change from, like you see at the top, Northwest Oregon, I can change to Dallas, Texas, or I can change to Phoenix, Arizona, or I can change to Boston, the other cities that we're in, and I can see the resources that they have available to them. So if I've got a person here in Portland that I need to get some help with in Dallas, I can go to this, I can change that to Dallas, I can scroll through my area down there on the bottom, like I said, we have 34 categories, find housing or find counseling or something like that, and hit that, and I'll have contact information and I can reach out to that person. You can imagine trying to blind call Dallas as a police officer saying, I got a victim, I need help. I mean, I don't even know where to start, but this gives you, I mean, more than a starting point. It gets you like closer to that finish line to find the right people to help them. So as Dana said, we just relaunched it in Portland. When we first started out, we were web-based. You did everything off your computer. And we took it to the next piece there. We had our launch on the 31st. We had about probably 40 people there, 45 people there that we reintroduced this to. Why it didn't continue from the web-based to this was varied reasons, like COVID was one. The police bureau was going through the transition with all of the, I call them rioters. I know the Oregonian called them protesters. But being down there myself working, they were not protesters, they were rioters. So the sort of the focus of the sex trafficking unit sort of got pushed down a little bit, and so it's back up and running again. They've got detectives, they've got officers back in it, good officers back working it. So we're trying to get it relaunched, get people back into it in the Portland area. I Excellent. So as I said, we're in different cities. We launched it in Northwest Oregon. We're trying to get it in Central California. We're in Arizona currently. We're in North Dallas, Texas. They have a huge collaboration there. Kansas City just came on board. New England is part of it now. The Boston police are using it. They want to expand it in the next probably year or so to the 7 New England states. So they want to bring all those states under their umbrella. And I think that's it. That's it right now. We've got probably about 10 or 15 other cities that are trying to bring it on, or looking at it to bring it on. So as they get introduced and bring on, we'll have that many more resources, be that much stronger. It's very simple to invite a member in. On the back end, you literally go to this page, you hit members, hit invite, and it gets pushed out to you as an email. It says, hey, you've been invited to Bridging the Gap. It gives you a download link to download it either off your Android phone or iPhone. And once you do that, you use the password that is sent out to you and you're logged in and you're able to use the app. So this is what it looks like. So you have an admin that oversees your region, a couple of admins, like in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, because it's so big. I think they have 4 or 5 admins. They then invite the groups into it, the different organizations in. Then the organization would invite the members in. So there's total control over who invites who in. So we, again, keep that trust when those asks are made. We have a vision to take this to the next step. Imagine this concept being used in the foster care system or being used in the houseless homeless community to bring all of those resources together in that. So we're in the process of redesigning the app. We have to sort of rebuild it to be able to use it and use it for domestic violence. Let's say use it in that area or use it for foster kids was my first idea. To imagine having all the foster parents out there when you get the 3-year-old and you don't have toys for a 3-year-old, you just got toys for a 6-year-old, to be able to push something out like that and all the foster parents be able to respond back and forth. So I think it's got a lot of capabilities to use it in these different things. We had somebody approach us about the refugee community, using it within that community, because there's a lot of resources, but again, like I came across, they don't know all the help that's out there. So this is our board members. You can see Dana's on there, one of our key members that's been on forever. Darlene's the one that her and I have been working this for the last, gosh, probably 8 or 9 years now, pushing this forward, trying to get it to the point where we are now. We just brought on Ann and Kurt, they are new members. And that is my presentation. I'm happy to take questions about what it is, the app, anything else that goes on with within the trafficking community that I can help with, but I can't thank you guys enough for your support of this app, number one, and number two, for being there all these years and bringing that awareness out to the group. So
great. Having the power of the mic before I pass around to others. We're going back to the example that you had in regards to somebody 2 o'clock in the morning. When you send out the text, how quick of a response can you get that early in the morning?
it depends. I mean, I don't know how many people put their phones on silent at night. I don't. I mean, when I was working the street, my phone drove my wife crazy because my phone went off all hours of the day. But if you're someone that's, what you would do is probably the key people, like let's say if you had a church or something like that, you'd have maybe 1 or 2 people in the church that would have they would be the key people for that church, the focal point. And if you got a text message at night, if they recognize that or heard the ding for the text message, they could look at it. And if it's important enough, maybe they call somebody else or maybe the church responds. But we've had responses literally within a matter of minutes. It depends. The more people we get on as providers and helpers, the more better responses we are going to get.
Melissa has a question on Zoom.
Hi, thank you so much for this presentation. I was able to hear, I think you spoke to us last year and it was awesome. So my question for you, we in our club, we do have a foster kids committee and I'm co-chair of it with Sandy St. Pierre, who's also online here. If we start working with Dana, our 2 committees, could we be talking to DHS and be getting the foster families as a resource person on there? Could they be invited to be a part of the app as some of these the stats are a lot of kids from foster care end up being trafficked. Could those resource parents be a person that we're contacting? Can we start inviting them in as our contacts?
I think we need to, yeah, we'd have to vet who they are, obviously, and what they're capable of helping with. We don't want to exclude people. We want to make sure it's people that are all trusted. And I'm working with DHS right now. In fact, she just sent me an email yesterday that she wants me to present to her supervisors about what this might look like in the DHS system. But we might be able to find some key people within DHS that obviously can do this, or people that have experience working with trafficking. I know I'm looking at you on the screen here, but I need to be looking at the cameras. I just realized. So I'm talking to you, but you're there. Yeah, I think that we can, let's talk. That's what I'd say. I'm not gonna say no. I think we have capabilities to figure out something to make that work. So we have, I think if you have people that have experience working with that, I think, yes, that could be a resource.
Have a question here?
Yes, thanks. And I also think that those families have to go through quite a bit of screening just to even become a resource family for those kids. So hopefully in working together, that's more steps we can take.
And we have training. Darlene has done a lot of training, and she has training online to the victim-centered approach. Quite a bit of training online that may be something we could use that training to get them to that point.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll be bugging you and
Okay.
Dana.
Question from Tony.
Mike, Tony Langweber. For a comment and a question. First one is, you had a whole slide about all of the things the club has done. And I want you to know that after coming to the club and being introduced to this by Jim Moiso and Dana, the accolades go to you as well. What you've done for leadership in the city of Portland.
Thank you. Well, like I say, to me, my whole goal has been awareness, and I can't do it without help. I mean, I can only teach so many people. I mean, when we first started doing our John School, I think the first class we had, I think 8 people. And the John School is the buyers that go out there, that got arrested, that had to go to an all-day school. And I said, before I even did the first class, I said, if I can change one person's opinion in that class, I've accomplished my goal. And since that time, I've taught probably, I don't know how many classes, but close to 1,000 buyers. And I know we started at the end, we started doing comments about the class. We give them a questionnaire, and at the end it was make comments about the class. I said, you can't leave unless you fill out the comments at the end. And I said, I'm going to look at them and make sure you can't write the class was good, because if you're going to write the class was good, you're going to tell me why the class was good. If you said the class was crap, that's fine. I'm not going to challenge that, but you tell me why the class was crap. And I can 90% of those comments at the end of our day of them being forced to go to class and forced to pay $1,000 to attend it, 90% of those comments were positive. That I wish I'd known this before I did what I did. You made a difference. I now realize these people are women. They're, so we made a difference, and you guys are making a difference by doing what you're doing and raising that awareness. So I think it's a team. I appreciate the thank you. So, but it's a team effort.
Thank you. My question is, retired from a business career, so follow the money. You opened up with the financing and how you had to turn down that grant and get started as a nonprofit. So what I'm wondering about with the spread of this nationally, as it's starting to, grow, do you have any kind of revenue stream that comes back to you for being the sponsors or the providers of the software and
Actually, Darlene and I have not made a single penny off of this. I think we've got Bridge in the Gap has bought us lunch a couple of times, and it's paid for us to go to a couple conventions to have booths to try to promote our product. But our goal is not to make money off of, our focus is to take this and make it forward and not profit off of this. We are, like I say, I told you, one day we're going to hopefully get a grant that gets us over that hurdle where we can actually hire somebody and not have to spend all the time that we spend trying to do stuff, but we're not there yet. So we're getting close. We've got the nonprofit status, which we desperately needed, and it helps us, look for that grant that we need.
Well, I'm a new member and I'm just totally impressed with this. And having done some nonprofit work, you're still working at a job?
Yeah, I am. I'm working a part-time job. Like I said, I didn't introduce myself real well. Darlene did a really good job, but I retired 2 years ago. My passion is this, and I still do this. Obviously I could have retired and just dropped away, but I love educating people. I love taking my knowledge out and sharing that with people so they can pass that on to other people.
And so when you set up that nonprofit, you made it a national organization, so these other groups could be part of bridging the gap?
Yes.
Well, I'm totally impressed and I look forward to helping you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? It's like yep, go ahead. Online there, Zoom. Sandy?
Yeah, how much, what is the percentage of kids that are LGBTQ that are sex trafficked?
There's a high percent. It's sort of a different type of trafficking than having a trafficker like we typically see in TV shows and we hear about. It's a much smaller, and especially for men, young boys that are trafficked, it's a different type of being trafficked. For them, it's more parties. It's not them out posting online usually, or other men trading them is what it looks like a lot of times. But it's probably a small percent, probably in the neighborhood of my guess would probably be about 10%. A lot of that is trading sex for food, trading sex for a place to stay, something like that, versus being forced by a trafficker. And I'm saying it doesn't happen in that community. It does, but it's not the higher percent like we're seeing with traffickers forcing women out there.
Any other questions? Thank you very much. Turn it back over to our president.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was a great presentation, Mike, and we always enjoy hearing all the latest that's going on in this field, and we appreciate Dana and Jim and their involvement in that as well.